Many men assume that getting a woman to open up is all about asking the perfect question, but that's not really how connection works. The exact words you use usually aren't the deciding factor. What truly matters is the emotional energy you bring into the conversation when you ask them. Thoughtful. I've watched plenty of men try to build connection by memorizing deep questions they found online. They go through them one after another, hoping the conversation will suddenly become meaningful. Most of the time, the woman responds politely, but keeps everything surface level, sometimes even drifting to her phone. Yet, I've also seen other men ask something simple like, "What's been on your mind lately?" And suddenly the conversation becomes real. Surprised. She begins sharing things she hasn't told anyone in months. The question might be almost identical, but the result is completely different. The difference isn't the wording. It's what those words reveal about the person asking them. In this video I want to explain the psychology behind why some men naturally create a space where women feel safe to open up, while others unknowingly close that door. By the end, you'll understand 3 psychological triggers that turn normal conversation into genuine emotional connection. The third one is especially powerful because it's what separates men women feel comfortable with from men they keep at a distance. Curious. The first thing to understand is that vulnerability can't be forced out of someone. People share personal things only when the emotional environment feels right. This isn't manipulation. It's simply how human psychology works. Thoughtful. When a woman reveals something real about herself, she isn't reacting to your question alone. She's reacting to how she feels around you. That feeling quietly tells her whether it's safe to drop the mask she shows the rest of the world. Many men miss this completely. They focus on what to say next, which question sounds impressive, or how to appear interesting. Meanwhile, their energy is sending signals that make the other person stay guarded. Size. What I'm talking about here isn't clever tactics or memorized lines. It's an internal shift. Once you understand it, you don't just get women to open up, you become someone they actually want to open up to. One of the biggest mistakes men make is turning conversation into an interview. They ask a question, wait for an answer, then immediately ask another one. It feels like they're trying to show interest, but underneath it creates pressure. Curious, when every question feels like it requires a response so you can continue the interaction, it subtly communicates neediness. And when people feel pressure in a conversation, they protect themselves. Instead of saying something real, they offer safe answers. Polite responses, nothing personal. You might think the conversation went well, but she walks away thinking you were nice and forgettable. Size. Another common mistake is going too deep too quickly. Some men meet a woman and within minutes start asking about childhood memories, fears, or life dreams. They believe they're creating depth, but from her perspective, it feels invasive. Trust hasn't been built yet. When emotional questions come too early, they don't feel meaningful. They feel uncomfortable. She may answer politely, but she won't reveal anything important. Exhales. The biggest mistake, though, is treating her openness like something you're trying to win, as if the right question will unlock her. That mindset creates an energy she can immediately sense. It tells her you're performing instead of being present. You're analyzing the interaction rather than experiencing it. And people rarely open up to someone who feels strategic, thoughtful. The real shift comes from understanding the conditions that naturally allow vulnerability to happen. The first trigger is comfortable silence. Most people don't realize that the way you handle silence matters more than the questions you ask. When you're relaxed during quiet moments and don't rush to fill every gap with another topic or joke, it communicates something powerful. Thoughtful. It shows you're comfortable with depth. Many men struggle with this. The second the conversation slows down, they panic. They search for another question, another story, anything to avoid the pause. They assume silence is awkward, but silence is actually where deeper thoughts begin. It's the moment someone decides whether to stay on the surface or say something real. If you can't sit calmly in that space, the conversation will stay shallow. Curious. Imagine asking something simple like, "What's been on your mind lately?" She might casually answer, just work stuff. Most men would immediately start asking about her job. Instead, you simply nod and stay present. Pause, you allow a moment of quiet. That pause gives her room to think, and often she'll continue with something more honest, like admitting she's been questioning whether she's truly happy with her path. Curious, that second response is the real one, and it only appears when there's enough space for it to surface. Comfortable silence isn't about saying nothing, it's about being grounded enough that you don't need constant stimulation in the conversation. Sighs, you're relaxed, present, and completely at ease whether the moment is filled with words or quiet. When you're not trying to get anything out of a conversation, people feel that. And that's exactly what creates a sense of safety. The second trigger is curiosity without an agenda. A lot of men ask questions because they want a result. Maybe they want to impress her, build attraction, or push the interaction somewhere meaningful. But behind those questions, there's often a hidden motive, and people can sense it. If you ask something while secretly hoping for a certain response, then your curiosity isn't really about her, it's about what her answer might give you. Real curiosity works differently, it has no destination, it simply wants to understand another human being. You become interested in how she thinks, how she sees life, and how she experiences the world, not because you need approval or validation, but because you genuinely want to understand her perspective. When curiosity is real, the way you ask questions naturally changes. You're not trying to control where the conversation goes. Instead, you explore whatever she's already sharing. You might ask what part of that situation bothers her most, why she thinks it affects her that way, or how long she's been feeling that way. These questions aren't fancy or impressive, they're simple, but they work because they follow her thoughts instead of forcing the conversation somewhere else. When someone feels that you're truly listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk or trying to guide the moment toward a goal, they relax. The pressure disappears. Most people walk through conversations constantly performing. They're thinking about how they sound, choosing their words carefully, and managing the image they present. That kind of self-monitoring is exhausting, but when you show up with genuine curiosity and no need to control the outcome, you become someone they don't have to perform around. That's when the walls slowly come down. Think about the last time someone really listened to you. Not someone giving advice or turning the story back to themselves, just someone who stayed present and heard you completely. That kind of presence is rare. When your curiosity has no agenda, you give people space to be seen without feeling judged or analyzed. And that's something most people hardly experience. The third trigger is emotional steadiness, and this one makes the biggest difference. When a woman shares something personal or vulnerable, she instinctively watches how you respond. She notices if you become uncomfortable, try to fix the situation, shift the focus to yourself, or quickly change the subject. Many men fail this moment without realizing it. The second something deep is shared, they jump in with their own story, offer solutions, or their energy suddenly changes because they don't know how to handle the emotional weight. Those reactions send a message that you can't hold what she's sharing. Emotional steadiness means you don't react impulsively, you simply receive what she says. If she shares something heavy, you stay calm. You don't rush to lighten the moment or redirect the conversation. You allow the moment to exist. Sometimes that means asking a gentle question about how it felt for her. Other times it's just a quiet nod and your full attention. Psychologically, when someone can express emotion and you remain steady without trying to control it, you become safe to them. They feel they can be real around you. Many people struggle with this because they're uncomfortable with their own emotions. So when someone else opens up, their instinct is to fix it or move past it quickly. But that reaction usually comes from their own discomfort. When you've learned to sit with your own emotions, you don't feel the need to repair or redirect someone else's. You can simply be present. That's rare. And it's the difference between someone people casually talk to and someone they truly confide in. Think about the people you open up to the most. Usually it's not the ones with the smartest advice or the best questions. It's the ones who can sit beside you in difficult moments without needing you to instantly feel better. That's emotional steadiness. When you have it, you don't need tricks or techniques. People naturally feel safe around you, and safety is what allows vulnerability to appear. In conversation, this can look very simple. You might ask what's been on her mind lately. It's an open question with no pressure. She might answer lightly, maybe talking about a show she's watching or a decision she's trying to make. Most men would immediately jump into discussing the show or offering advice. Instead, you pause for a moment and stay present. Then you follow her thought with real curiosity and ask what part of that decision feels difficult. Because you're not attached to her answer, she feels free to be honest. Maybe she admits she's worried she's choosing for the wrong reasons. Instead of rushing to reassure her, you stay steady and ask what the right reasons might look like for her. You're not fixing anything. You're simply allowing the conversation to deepen. This isn't manipulation. It's creating a space where honesty feels natural and where someone can think out loud without being judged. The deeper shift here is intention. You're not doing these things to get a reaction. You're doing them because you genuinely want to understand people. Most men try to create connection by doing the right things, saying the right words, or asking impressive questions, but real connection doesn't come from doing more. It comes from how you show up. When you're comfortable with silence, when your curiosity is genuine, and when your emotions stay steady, connection happens naturally. People feel understood. But real connection doesn't come from doing more. It comes from how you show up. When you're comfortable with silence, when your curiosity is genuine, and when your emotions stay steady, connection happens naturally. People feel understood. They feel safe enough to stop performing. And that's what everyone is really looking for, someone they can simply be themselves around. This goes far beyond dating. In every relationship, the people who leave the deepest impact aren't the ones who say perfect things. They're the ones who make others feel accepted as they are. That's the real skill. Not learning better questions, but becoming the kind of person who allows others to be themselves without pressure. If you want to understand this more deeply, has a free guide that explains the inner mindset behind it. It focuses less on what to say and more on how to shift your internal state so connection happens naturally. Attraction and emotional connection aren't random, and that feeling of safety is where everything else begins: trust, attraction, intimacy, and real connection.